Hello, and welcome once again to the Be About It podcast. As you know, we've been working on some new things, new tricks, and new treats. Perfect time of the year for the tricks and the treats. I know a lot of y'all out there have already started your Halloween decorations, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Keep it weird, y'all. Just keep it weird. But with all the fun and festivities, there is still a lot to be talked about. Man, a lot of talking going on. Some people being about it, some people talking about it. But let's get down to brass tacks. We got a couple things to talk about tonight. Today, tomorrow, wherever you're listening. We're going to dive into the big news of the week. Sean, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever you call him, Combs, was arrested and indicted this week. Oh yes, it was that day, we saw it all coming. It was happening. I was like, whenever they raided his house a few months ago, I was like, we knew this was the end game and they were going to get what they needed. He was pouncing around doing whatever he wanted to do. Yeah. Like celebrities. Yeah. I was like, well, that came back to bite him, which we'll get to that in a minute. So here's what is known so far. I was like, there's a lot of things going on, and there's craziness happening right now. But there was events known as freakouts. Or freak-offs, that was it. Freak-offs, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is 100% what it sounds like. Hotels, were just filled with baby oil, drugs, lighting for filming. Important, lighting for filming. Yes. In his own personal weirdo self. I wanted to keep a little bit of stuff. And even had a cleanup crew. Well, now, why would you need a cleanup crew per se? Well, use your imagination as vivid as you want to get, because apparently you're not going to be vivid enough for how freaky things got from what I've been reading so far. These things went on for days sometimes. I mean, like literal days, like 3, 4, 5 days. And that's when the cleanup crew would come in. Ugh. I hope he paid them people well. Because, man, that sounds like the worst job. I mean, I'm pretty sure the cleanup crews were probably like, thank God I didn't have to go to those. Man, that just, ugh. Man, who knows what the hell they were finding there. But, I mean, it was videotaped and things like we said. I was like, and there was even a rumor that a tape got out and was sold on the dark web. Now, this is rumored. Now, don't take this for fact. I'm just what I've heard, what I've read, what I've found out so far. Now, if I find out fact, now I have a hard time finding the fact that if this tape was bought by an individual for purpose of sharing, that it's not already out. But here's my thought on it. As the tape got out and was sold on the dark web for about $500 million in cryptocurrency. Now, there is a handful of people on this earth with $500 million to just be like, oh, here you go. Want this tape. Now, what was on this tape, you say? Oh, I am glad you asked. This tape was said to have featured celebrities like Nicki Minaj, Drake, Bieber, Chris Brown, and Rihanna. Of course, Diddy was up in there too. So you got just those handful of people on it. I was like, and there's been others rumored on it that have been to his parties, like J-Lo, Ashton Kutcher, him and Diddy been longtime friends, Jay-Z and Beyonce, Leonardo DiCaprio, and others. I mean, there is a long list of names of celebrities that have been there and been to one of his parties. Come on, he's been around and making music for almost 40 years now. I mean, he has brought people up. He has torn people down. He has, done pretty much everything you could do in the music business. So, yes, I'm sure a lot of people, if you were invited to a party thrown by Diddy, you would go. I mean, hands down, there's not a question. You would go. Now, the question is if you would go a second time if some of this happened and you were there and you were like, you know what, this ain't my cup of tea. I'm out. See you later. Apparently there was rooms where you did not want to go walk into at these parties. And there's even been, like Kevin Hart came forward. He was noticed in one of the videos. Now, I saw the video that he was in, and it looked like a lot younger. Like Kevin Hart. This looked like the Kevin Hart that was still making cameos in movies for like 10, 15 minutes of screen time. He wasn't the Kevin Hart we know and love today. So I'm not going to judge a book by its cover, because I don't know if he knew about everything that was going on, if he was just at the party and he was young and having a good time. I'm not going to comment on that. But I saw the video. There's a little woman in the tub in the back, surrounded by candles, had the ambiance set up. And it all came to a crashing halt when her hair caught on fire. I mean, damn. Man, it ain't a party until your hair catches on fire. Man, that is what I'm talking about. But, I mean, there has been people on both sides defending Kevin Hart. Some people say, get out there. You owe us an apology for going. How could you be a part of something like that? We don't know what he was a part of. We know he was in a video, and judging by the quality of this video and how young he looked, I'm going to say this was a long time ago. So I'm not going to hold anything against him for being young and stupid. So that's just my personal feeling. You feel free to hate him if you like. I'm not, because I don't know all the truth. So, but yeah, it was like a young Kevin Hart. I mean, if you were young and trying to make it up in this business, and he was still trying to come up and be the star that he is today, yeah, he was trying to make all the connections he could. So yeah, read a little bit into this, watch the video, and don't judge it just because someone says something. Come on, you can see the quality of this video. It looked like it was taken on a damn one of them old recorders. I was like, with the actual 8mm and stuff. Yeah, we all used to carry those around in the 90s and early 2000s. Now iPhones are out, would have a lot better quality. We would be able to see everything. We would be able to freeze frame when the hair caught on fire. But if you are on the defending, or if you're on the one apology, I'd say give it some time. You don't know where you're going to land yet, because that has just come out, but he has already started to make statements on it. So more about that as it comes out. But let's get into what Diddy himself is being indicted for. Now, I told you about the freak-offs, because that is the main focus of what they're going after him for. The racketeering part of it, the sex trafficking, things like that. But on the 14-page indictment, it accuses him of arson, bribery, kidnapping, obstruction of justice, and enterprise that he ran as an alleged racketeer, which is kind of what he's talking about. Forcing women into having sex or unconsensual sex, and things like that. Or, for this matter, men and women. I mean, if you've saw some of the videos, if you read some of the articles, it didn't matter. I mean, it looked like he was not sexist at all. Apparently, he was a equal opportunity trafficker. But man, it's some crazy shit, and we're just getting started with this. I mean, this was just the first week. There is going to be so much come out in the upcoming months that we are going to be sick to our stomach of this, because this is celebrity. This is everybody in celebrity. And the Hollywood over there, they if you want to know all the people. So if you don't know the people, you're going to try to know the people. And I mean, as I said earlier, if you want to come up in the business, you got to be at the places. So lawyers are saying that they were parties of consensual engagement, and while the government is going the complete opposite of that. They're saying that it was full. Now, the government's come out and said that it has massive amounts of evidence. I mean, like massive. So they're saying they have witnesses, photos, videos, text messages. There has been there is tons of stuff that we don't know what they got in whenever we did the raids. We don't know what they've gotten before that made them want to do the raids. So this is just beginning. I mean, and he's been denied bail. Like, no shit. He has millions in the bank. If he wanted to hide someplace, all he's got to do is say, hey, yo, what's up? I'm coming down. Just fix me up in a loft. I'm disappearing. Cool, I'm out. Yeah, he is a severe flight risk. He could just buy a plane if he wanted to. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that they denied bail on him. And as hard as they've been coming down on sex trafficking, this is going to be big. This might be the next, I mean, excuse the reference, but It might be the next big trial on TV. I mean, we all know the first big one. Yes. We'll see how this one goes. But he, like, little weirdness, Diddy has actually been put on suicide watch. Ooh, just like Epstein, perhaps. Does anybody get that same feel? That same, like, what's going on? Because, you know, Diddy looks like he's the kind that's going to be talking. That he's going to be like, you know what, y'all? Y'all did this with me. I don't feel like going to jail for the next 18 lifetimes. I'm going to narrow that down to about 20 years by taking all you sons of bitches with me. I mean, it kind of get that feel like that's what's going to happen, because the videos, things like that, we don't know what's coming out, and he's going to, like, lots of celebrities go to these parties. And whether they were on the illegal stuff or they had no clue what was going on, if they were just there, they're going to be named. They're going to be in some of these videos and some of these messages and things like that. So I'm curious to see how many celebrities are going to come out to testify against, just to escape prosecution themselves. That is going to be a lot of, oh man, there's going to be so much of that coming up pretty soon. The TMZ is about to have a field day with what's happening. So, one of the big ones coming out now. This is, since we've gotten the celebrities going on now. Usher comes out and he wipes his X account clean. I'm not going to say it's suspicious, but I'm going to say fans were very confused on why that just happened. Because we know Usher was kind of like living with Diddy. He was a legal guardian of Usher. Diddy was a legal guardian of Usher since he was like 14. And it kind of weirded everybody out whenever he's like, okay, what am I covering up? Because you don't know what's on X. You don't know what you posted 30 years or like 10 years ago. Come on. I mean, if he thought he might have something on there, that's why he deleted it. Or maybe Diddy called him and said, you better delete that. Shit. I ain't going down for your dumbass posting about something. So, I mean, it could have been something like that. But even whenever he was 14 during interviews, Usher came out and has said he saw some very curious things at Diddy's mansion when he was just 14. So, I'm sure this was going on then. And even Usher had to have had some ideas what was going on at that time, especially when he got older and he could, put like 2 and 2 together. He'd be like, oh, that's what was going on. Oh, okay. I see. Which was real weird because Usher was representing a young pop star by the name of Justin Bieber. And we've seen the videos that started surfacing after that where, Diddy looks like he's testing him for a wire whenever they're meeting, things like that. And, I mean, whenever Bieber was around 14, he got a 48-hour pass to hang out with Diddy. Is anybody seeing a pattern here? I mean, as a parent myself, I would not want my 14-year-old hanging out with any celebrity. That is, unless that parent was just hoping something weird happened and they were going to get a payday like anybody that let their kids hang out with Michael Jackson back in the day. So, really, where was a thought process? What do you think is happening at a hip-hop at that time? He was coming up pretty big. Hip-hop guys, big, world mansion and things like that. What do you think Bieber saw in that 48 hours? We saw how Bieber was when he was a pop star. Now you see how he looks like he just rolled out of the dumpster. I was like, smoked a couple things of not so legal drugs. I was like, and rolled out of the trailer park. So, it went another direction. How bad did that 48 hours really mess that boy up? Just saying. And if you actually look at Bieber and the road he's went down from that age up until present, it makes a lot of sense. And we don't know how deep he was with that scene. So it may have messed him up and made him what he is today. We don't know, but we'll figure it out. We'll find out. So Oh man, this is just the beginning of this, man. This is going to go all kinds of crazy. If we all know one thing for sure, we know celebrities are the upstanding citizens that we have all known to grow and love on. That we feel like we are part of their world when we're really not. So I have a feeling a lot of these celebrities are about to play cutthroat for real life, and they're going to be protecting their own. Let's just call it what it is. Now, one of the funny things, I'm mentioning this I'm done with the Diddy thing for right now, because I'm sure I'll have more to that and talk about soon. But did anybody hear about the pagers exploding over in the Middle East? Now, I think it was Iran, or it was an organization within Iran have used pagers for. I just heard about this today, so I got to do a little research. But basically, they have always used pagers as kind of a to use for their communication. Low tech, can't trace as easy, things like that. But apparently, in China, where they were made, somebody got a hold of these things, knew where they were going, and put a little bit of explosive material on the inside of them, and then and with one united text message across the board, exploded. Oh man, I don't even know how many of them. I mean, it was thousands. I mean, hundreds were injured. I think 11 or 12 were dead, and you just took away their form of communication. Now they're blaming Israel, so they think, but the Israel military had not commented on it. So we might be looking at some actual James Bond type shit here. I mean, where they're getting really creative with this. They're not just attacking the individual. Even some people were a part of this group, even in the upper government of that country. So, but yeah, I'm going to do a little research because that sounded really interesting to me. I'm just going to share that with you. I mean, it was popping off I was like, at the front of my brain, and I had to share it. I got there. I don't know how I got there, but I got there. So I'm going to take a quick second. I'm going to have a drink here, a little H2O, let my throat rest for a second, and then we are going to talk football. Yes, football is alive and well, and man, it was a crazy Sunday. Hold on one second, I'll share everything. All right, and I am back with some sports. Yes, the greatness of football season. And yes, I got some opinions. And let me talk about a few things before we get to today's games and Thursdays. Let's talk about a few of the stories that have been circulating in the sports world for the week. We all know last Sunday, Tua Tagovailoa took that big hit, concussion. He was messed up, y'all, man. And looking at that replay, the first time it didn't look so bad, but after you watch it and you watch it a couple more times, man, that was a bad one. And I mean, yeah, he just signed the extension, got the big contract and all that good stuff. But this is like third or fourth major concussion since joining the league. I mean, he hasn't been here that long. I think he's 4 or 5 years, and he was out for 1 year altogether because of injury. So, at what point do we say that he is not? I mean, a lot of other sports anchors, sports talk shows, they're coming up and say, "Man, take that money and run. Stop. Don't do it anymore." And I'm with them. To be honest, his health is way more important than the long run. And he is at the point where he has to make that decision. I mean, he's got coaching. He could probably start getting in the back office, working on coaching, GM status. I mean, there's a lot of different jobs in football besides playing. Now, that brings up the second question. What would it take for him to come back and say, to hell with my health? I mean, I'm pretty sure that McDaniel's not going to let him play if he doesn't want to or if he's not cleared. But what happens the next big one? And what happens in 20 years when those concussions come back to haunt him? Maybe in 10 years, maybe in 5. Who knows? I think, in my opinion, health is way more important. So, Tua, you're good. You could be great, but I would say make the decision that's best for you and your family versus for the league and the Dolphins organization. If you could take that money and run, I mean, take it and run, man. Run with your health. My personal feelings on you. I hope the best. Speaking of the Dolphins, we all know Tyreek Hill just last week or a couple weeks ago on opening day got detained by the police. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about this already because it was pretty big news, especially if you watched any sports show at all, period, any news organization. A lot of people were talking about it. But a lot of him and I think one or two of his teammates who came to his defense saying, "Hey, no, what's up?" And it was right outside the stadium. I mean, not that far away from the stadium. I mean, come on, what the hell? And apparently, the police officer has already been put on administrative leave. So basically saying he's not there right now until we sort this out. But Hill is still considering legal action because he was cuffed. He was put out on the curb as detained, legally, I'm going to take your ass to jail, detained. I don't know what was said. Don't know what happened between him and the cop. But how dumb of a cop do you think this guy is? Granted, he's not a Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver, but he's still one of the top 5 receivers in the league today. I would recognize him, and I have seen maybe 2 or 3 games that he has played in. Most of the time I get to see highlights or clips or listen to him on another channel. But yeah, I live in Texas. Come on. I don't get to see a lot of Dolphin games. So the games that I have seen, he's real good. You wouldn't know who he is, and I could pick him out right now. So that was pretty stupid on his part. And I don't know how far this is going to go, but I'm pretty sure that they'll be happy to settle outside of court because this is a slam dunk for him. I don't know if he's ready to retire, but that might be enough. Now, the other news for the day, I think Bryce Young, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, he was given the bench, and they let old Big Red himself start. Yes, that was Andy Dalton. We had a little trip with him here in Dallas ourselves. So Andy Dalton, I thought he was retired, but apparently he's always been hanging out in the Carolinas playing for the Panthers. Now, we'll get to that in just a second, that game that happened. But what I've been reading is this is not a permanent benching, which is what you're going to say until what happened today happened. Again, get to that in a second. So Bryce Young was given the bench, and this is his second year. He's won 2 games. I'm sorry he came into the worst offensive team. You did not build anything around him. You didn't give him any more weapons. You didn't give him a better offensive line. I don't know what you're thinking, but let's put him on the bench. Now here's where the kicker comes. I will get into today's winners on that note because we're going to talk straight on the Carolina game. Big Red, Andy Dalton himself, leads the Panthers to their first victory over the Raiders, 36-22. Now, here's where this is bad for Bryce Young because Andy Dalton just took the same team and made them look like a damn Super Bowl contender, at least a playoff contender. Now, granted, against the Raiders, but they still looked good doing the same things. Now, this is just showing experience. Andy Dalton made better throws, made better connections, and just knew how to manage the game better. Now, this could be good for long-term Bryce Young, where he is going to grow, and if he's smart, he'll pay attention to how Andy Dalton managed that game, because that is what experience is. Things that you have to learn along the way, and that's what a lot of the great quarterbacks have gotten over the years. Like Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for years before he got his start. And how many people Tom Brady even got to sit behind Drew Bledsoe before he got a start, and he would constantly ask questions to Drew about what's going on in the game, what do I need to look for, things like that. So the better quarterbacks have always sat behind. Steve Young sat behind Joe Montana back in the day. and so forth. A handful of quarterbacks have ever came in and just been dominant from year one, perfect across the board, and that is the simple truth. You have to build up around them, find their strengths, and that's on the coaching myself. Coaches have to learn what they can and cannot do with their players. So I hope this is the end for the young man. I was like, I think he can play. I think he's got moves. I think he needs you need to take that rough stone and you need to polish it down. And that's why you're supposed to have a veteran on the bench helping him through this. Why wasn't he helping him? Or was he? I don't know. We'll find out in the upcoming weeks. Hopefully we'll see him back out there and that. But like I said, Andy Dalton just won a game with the same team, making all of them. And you know how I know? Because I played half of those players on my fantasy and lost, because they, after putting up jack and shit the first couple weeks, they decided with Andy Dalton that they were going to throw up 25 points each. Assholes. I swear. Screw them. All right. But let's get to the rest of the winners. Vikings still going strong with a 34-7 win over the Texans. Now, I was actually a little surprised on that. The Texans have been playing hard, playing strong since last year, but the Vikings are for real this year, and I think they have a chip on their shoulder. And Sam Darnold I think he's got the biggest chip, because he has been traded around and forgotten about, and he is out to show everybody he can still do this, or he can do this in the first place, since nobody thinks he could do it in the beginning. Justin Fields still winning in Pittsburgh, 20-10. I mean, you got Russell Wilson sitting back there with an injury. So how long do you say it's an injury until you literally say, do you rock it until Fields falls off and then just come out and say, hey, all right, we're going to put Russell in now? I was like, the injury's gone. So I don't know how long they're planning on doing that, or if they just wasted the money getting Wilson on there. But we'll see. Justin Fields still winning with Pittsburgh, so we'll see how long they take it. Eagles edge out the Saints 15-12. That was a hard-fought game. That was the kind of game that I like watching. It was a defensive struggle. It was a defensive push. Man, it was whose offense is going to be able to break down the defense, and neither one of them really gave you anything. There was no big plays. Saquon Barkley had one 65-yard run, which he has been a tear ever since he got it, but the Philadelphia pretty much shut down Kamara. Then the only other big play that kind of won the Eagles the game was Goddard at the end, catching and getting a nice little 40, 50-yard run. Outside of that, there was nothing big happening. It was just all power, all running, and all trying to gain ground. Nobody was letting any thing slide on the passing part of it. But the Broncos get their first win against Baker and the Bucks, 26-7. I was shocked on that one, but Baker was having a really bad day. You know how I know as well? Because he was on my fantasy team. Yeah, the one that lost. Yeah, that's another reason why I got the L this week on that. Packers without Jordan Love are still winning. They beat the Titans 30-14. Man, when Jordan Love comes back, man, the Packers have a real team, man. I was kind of looking at it as kind of luck last year at the end, but I got to call it what it is. It's a good team coming together, and I think a lot of people are overlooking them completely. But the Giants also get their first win against the Browns, 21-15. Yay! There's no... hold on, is there any team? No, I think every team has won at least one game now. Wow. Nope, Browns still have not won yet. There we go. Colts hold on against the Bears, 21-16. And the Seahawks just keep rolling over a two-less Dolphins, 24-3. Seahawks, they got a good little thing going. They are in an NFC that's riddled with injuries. The Seahawks can take full advantage of that right now. And if they keep winning, they very well could. Lions get back on track against the Cardinals, 20-13. Cardinals are another one of those teams that are doing surprisingly better than I thought they were going to be. Now they're still like 1-2, but you know what? They've performed very well. So I'm not going to say anything that they are out yet. The Rams complete their comeback over the Niners, 27-24. Now, the Niners had their backup wide receiver, Juwan, get 3 touchdowns today, 180 yards. Man, the kid was on fire. He was taking full advantage of Deebo Samuel being out for today. And he was rocking it. Congrats to him on such a great day. Hopefully you keep doing that in the future. I'm going to see if I can't get you on my fantasy team. I don't know if you'll be able to do that every week, but here's to hoping. Ravens. Yeah, we're going to talk about this one for a minute. Ravens get their first win on the road against the Cowboys, 28-25. Here's why we're going to talk about this for a minute, because I am a Cowboys fan. I am from Texas, and I watched this game in depth. Now, the first 2 drives that the Ravens had ended in touchdowns for the Ravens. And the first 2 for the Cowboys, well, we got one of those. Aubrey is always the shining light there in the whole Cowboys organization. Hits a 65-yard field goal. They should have got a penalty and let him went for the damn record. I was like, Justin Tucker across a way, you could have shook his hand as you took the record straight away from him. But the Cowboys the defense didn't even wake up till the 4th drive. I mean, the first 2 let them do what they want. Then they finally start slowing them down. And you just see it on Micah Parsons' face, the frustration. He is making tackles, but he is not getting to the quarterback. For being so quick, so fast. Everybody knows if you shut down Parsons, you shut down the Dallas Cowboy defense. Don't get me wrong, we got some great players on that team defense, but they are not stopping anybody in these past couple weeks. They can stop the teams that they're supposed to stop, a.k.a. the Browns. People that they have no intention to lose to, which are losing to everybody, which we'll probably lose one of them games too. CD, another topic today. CD Lamb, nothing for the... he did not even show up today. This is like for the 2nd straight week. Why are we paying him so much money to not make touchdowns? I mean, seriously, paying him a lot of money, and between him and Dak, we should see like 3 or 4 touchdowns a week, at least in my opinion. But yeah, CD had nothing all day. They had his number. They did not let him get open. He got a few catches, not a lot of yards, but yeah, he was not the dominant that he was last year. And here's what I think it is. I think because he sat out all of training camp, he didn't have that good relationship with Dak. They don't have that feel yet. And he's going to have to work and get it. Now, it may be 4 or 5 games before we actually get back to where we CD and Dak of last year. And that is where I was saying a few weeks ago that CD is screwing the Cowboys because of this crap. There's just that miscommunication, the off center, Dak not knowing to throw, not trusting him to whenever he does make the throws. So that is all CD's fault for sitting out. And all he had to do was come to the training camp, start working out, keep it under. Then, hey, you know what? Well, let his agent over there do what agents do and negotiate for him. That's all he had to do. That's all. But he didn't. So now the Cowboys' offense is suffering for it. Luckily, Dak hit pretty much everybody else on there and made a lot of completions to them. Although he missed a lot too. He threw almost 50 passes and just barely over 500. But he got over 300 yards, so yay. That's another thing. We paying Dak all this money. It wasn't until the 4th quarter. I mean, it was 28-3 going into the 4th quarter, and it was like something clicked in Dak. I need to drive this. I need to drive us down and score a touchdown. So he drives us down, scores a touchdown. Then they kick an onside kick, and I'll be damned if they don't get it back. That might be one of the only ones that happens this year. But then he drives them down. They score another touchdown. Neither of them to CD Lamb. So they are doing this all in literally a 10-minute times or 7-minute time span on the clock, and you wasted 3/4 not doing anything like this. You were driving, you were trying, but you were always getting stopped. It was a very difficult thing to watch as a Cowboys fan. But yeah, I've said at the beginning of the season, I'm not expecting much. I'm expecting a 9-8, 8-9 season. If they get into the playoffs, it'll be on a wild card note. They aren't winning this division at all. Yes, I'm a fan, but I'm a realist. They did nothing in the off season. This is what happens when you do nothing in the off season and everybody else does. Everybody else got better, and the Cowboys just stayed the same. And except for change the defense, which I'm kind of thinking last year's defense was way better than that. So, but the Ravens ran for almost 300 yards. Not passed, ran. Between Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, their other runner, Justice Hill, I think. I was like, so they ran for almost 300 yards. How embarrassing is that? You were supposed to be one of the top defenses in the league. What were you, number 3 last year? Number 3 or 4? And now you're letting someone run more than they passed on you. I mean, Lamar Jackson didn't have to pass at all. I mean, when he did, he still threw it for a touchdown and stuff. I mean, he still did good, but he didn't have to. You know why? Because the Cowboys could not stop the run. And as long as you can't stop the run, they are an old school type football team with Harbaugh. They controlled the clock, ran the ball, and the Cowboys just sat there and took it. If you want to stop, and that's the kind of team that you're going to face with a mobile quarterback, and they aren't the only one. They just have the best mobile quarterback today. So if you're going to face a mobile quarterback like Lamar Jackson, you have got to stop that run and make them pass. And that's the only way you're ever going to beat them. And the Cowboys still haven't learned that. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks with the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, I am not expecting a whole lot, but I will hope for the best and expect what's really going to happen. So, but the last game of the day was the Chiefs, and they hold on to beat the Falcons. Came down to the wire. The last 2 minutes was very a lot of drama filled. I mean, it was the Falcons driving it down to the 5-yard line and getting held on 4th and the goal. Then the Chiefs don't do jack, and then they punt it and then hold them again. I mean, there was a lot of defensive struggle on it, but they remain undefeated at 3-0 and put that. But now this is a Sunday show. I am gonna be posting this on Tuesday. Let's see if I'm right. My pick for Monday night is the Bills over the Jags, because I honestly think the Bills have got the best team in the AFC outside of Kansas City. That's where it's going to be this year. It's going to be a Kansas City and Buffalo AFC championship, and we're going to get that awesomeness that we got a few years back, because this Josh Allen looks more in form than last year's. He's making better decisions, running. He's doing what he has to do to win. He is putting it up, and I think it's going to be Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship, and that's we're gonna figure out what that's gonna be. So, that being said, it has been wonderful. It has been great. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself, had a great time, loved it all, soaked it all up. Yes, we like to get a little weird around here. We keep it weird on this show. We don't believe in your typical everyday yay stuff. No, we like to get weird and do stupid. Well, at least I do. That's why I say we. I mean, because, the voices. So, y'all have a great one. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all the fun and sharing this day with me. And as I always say, I almost forgot. Next week will be the official first day of Twitter. Twitch. I will be joining Twitch next Sunday. We're going to go live there at 9 o'clock. So right before the last game ends, if you want to join, I'll talk a little bit about the game on air, live and in person. And you can see it as it happens. And I will have all that posted right there on my page. Feel free to follow me. Like, follow, subscribe. You never know if you're going to enjoy it. So, till next week, just do what we do around here. Don't talk about it. Be about it. And have a great one.